Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Thursday, February 13th, and the energies in the day adds up or reduce to number 6 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. The spirit guidance for today is the gazelle energy, and the gazelle energy comes out in the upright position. I like whenever I see the gazelle come out in the upright position because it brings me to patience, reflection, because my attention always goes to the fact that the gazelle is prey. And even though the gazelle is prey, the gazelle looks like it's resting, it's alert, it's aware, but it's resting. And it brings me to the thought of not allowing ourselves to get consumed when it comes to certain things. Consumed when it comes to certain things, meaning realizing that yes, this can happen, that can happen, this I have control over, that I don't have control over. And, doing whatever it is that we can to benefit our situation when it comes to the things that we have control over, and the things that we don't have control over, we just surrender and allow for the universe to do its part. Because for me, that's where the universe comes in and handles the things that we don't have control over, and we do our part. But when it comes to today's energy, today's ruled by Jupiter because it's Thursday. Thursday is associated with Jupiterian energy. With the energies in the day, though, adding up to the number 6 vibration, the number 6 is associated with Venus. So it's a combination of Venus and Jupiterian energy amplifying the day. And where is the moon? The moon is in Virgo, and the moon is being challenged by Mercury conjunct the sun in Aquarius, and also Jupiter in Gemini. So when I look at the energies within the day, the moon, our inner world, how we communicate with ourselves when no one's looking, how we nurture ourselves, how we nurture others, is in Virgo. And with the moon in Virgo, the inner world is in a space where it's very critical, it's analytical, but the inner world is also in a space that is service driven. So this is where we want to be of service to others. We want to help. We want to make a difference in however way we can. But sometimes that help can hurt, because with Virgo energy being so critical and detailed, this is where sometimes we could find ourselves say that we're telling someone the truth about their situation, and that truth hurts. That truth hurts because maybe it's super critical. Maybe it's not something that they're ready to hear. But the biggest thing for me when it comes to Virgo energy, Virgo and Pisces, because those two energies are oppose each other, both having to do with helping and being of service. I feel like the help hurts because a lot of the times people don't ask for the help. And when it comes to those energies, they'll naturally just give the help because that's their that's their nature. And that's why I feel like it's so beneficial for people who are strongly associated with Virgo and Pisces energy to work in industries or create careers for themselves that's service driven, that has to do with helping. Because I think when people pay attention, there's more reciprocity opposed to bringing help to people who didn't ask for that help. And with the moon being challenged by what's happening in Aquarius, it would bring me to say something about the way how we're communicating and how we identify today challenges our inner world, the inner conversations we have with ourselves. Where I think of, say, Aquarian energy is also a service-driven energy that deals with humanity. It's a humanitarian energy. But what I see in common with the two energies that are squaring the moon, both of those energies have to do with communication, information, and connection, relationships. So something about how we're feeling on the inside and how we're nurtured in this moment feels like it's conflicting when it comes to our social environment and connecting and being in the presence of others. And I could see that with the number 6 energy, the day adding up and reducing to the number 6 vibration, because the number 6 does deal with community. It's relationship oriented. It is ruled by Venus. But sometimes with that number 6 energy, and when I tied into the challenging aspect, I could think of how, certain times we don't feel like we're enough. We feel conflicted or challenged within ourselves when it comes to our surrounding environments. And that's because with the number 6 energy, we could be super hard on ourselves, super hard about our parents, what it is that we own, where we are in life in relations to our peers. Even if we're doing amazing, even if we're doing, the best that we could do, sometimes with this energy, when it's operating in a lower frequency, it doesn't matter how well you're doing or how much you've achieved, this energy could really be hard. It could cause us to really be hard on ourselves, along with Moon and Virgo, where we're nitpicking and criticizing every little thing about ourselves. And, it's like nothing is enough. So today could be one of those days where it feels like nothing is enough. Nothing you've done is enough. Nothing you've achieved is enough. And we have to become aware whenever we're thinking like that or speaking like that, and realize that, we're choosing to focus our attention on things to make us feel that way. And that's not a fact. It's not a fact, it's a choice. And it brings me to something that I was thinking about earlier that I spent most of the morning really reflecting on. And it was all triggered by a dream that I had while I fell asleep. Normally, I don't take naps during the day, but I got done with everything that I needed to do. I was relaxing and I fell asleep, dozed off, had a quick dream. And within the dream highlighted something for me about shame that I didn't know that I have when it comes to certain things. And so today I was reflecting on shame, guilt, and doubt. And I was reflecting on how shame, guilt, and doubt has played a major role in my life in ways that I didn't even realize. And it might be beneficial for you to pull your journal out and ask yourself, how has shame played a role in your life? How has guilt played a role in your life? And how has doubt played a role in your life? And thinking about shame, guilt, and doubt, it made me think about some other things and bringing it back to the Virgo moon. So with Virgo energy deals with the 6th house, and the 6th house deals with diet. It deals with time management. It deals with the service we give to others and how we spend basically how we approach day-to-day life, just to name a few. And I remember coming to the realization for myself that whenever my 6th house energy is in alignment, meaning, 6th house dealing with diet and time management, whenever I'm eating in a way that allows for my body to thrive and I don't entertain the junk and the BS food, I realized that my whole life benefits like a domino effect. Like everything in my life benefits just from me making change in one area, because whenever I'm eating well, my mind is clear, I'm managing my time well, I do not entertain junk information, whether it's BS conversations or junk content or certain music I can't listen to when I'm eating well that I could only listen to when I'm consuming junk. So it's interesting how just from making change in one area of my life, the rest of my life benefits. So I was reflecting on the thought of how sometimes we'll feel like we need to get help when it comes to, say, why we're struggling with our careers, get help when it comes to why we're struggling with our relationships, and why we're struggling with diets. And it made me think of the saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I personally believe the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So thinking of the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and the whole domino effect, and us addressing our healing process when it comes to our life and our overall life in parts, and instead taking a holistic approach. It made me think of, what if it's just one thing that needs to be addressed within us that affects all areas of our lives in different ways, even though it might be appearing to affect our lives in different ways. And I was thinking of the word shame and guilt. And when I think of the word shame, I think of the way the word shame makes me feel, the way shame makes me feel. Shame makes me feel like I'm not enough. Shame for me feels like a curse. It feels like a spirit, an entity, and a possession once you identify with it. And I feel like people could project their shame onto us, whether it comes through our parents, whether it comes through, people doing certain things and us perceiving what they do and resonating it in a way that makes ourselves, hold on to the shame and feel like it's something wrong with us, when really it's them projecting or putting their curse onto you. It's like, passing on their STD type of vibe. But anyways, when I think of the word shame, it would almost feel as if like a spell where it's like it wraps you up and it limits you. And then when I think of guilt, it's like shame makes guilt possible. And when I think of the word guilt and think of how guilt feels, it's like guilt makes me feel like I'm wrong. Shame makes me feel like I'm not enough. Guilt makes me feel like I'm wrong. I'm going to get to doubt in a little bit. So it's like I'm reflecting on shame and guilt. And I'm thinking, imagine if it was shame and guilt to a certain extent that infiltrates our lives, different areas of our lives, but looks like it's something else when it's that one thing that's influencing different areas of our lives and keeping us restricted. For example, I think of how, shame will make us feel like we're not enough. And because we feel like we're not enough, we will reject things that are good for us because we feel like we are lower than those things. Meaning, say within a person's romantic life or friendship wise, certain people will come along, but say if a person is possessed by shame, they will sabotage good connections because they feel like they don't equal up to those connections. And then the guilt will cause us to entertain connections and people and things that we shouldn't. The guilt will cause us to people please and have a lack of boundaries. So when shame and guilt, is possessing and controlling our lives, when it comes to relationships, it'll appear that we can't have healthy relationships because we don't think we're good enough for certain relationships. And then the ones that we think we're good enough for, those are ridden in shame within itself. So, people are coming together because they feel validated by the shame that they see in each other, where to be with someone who isn't possessed by shame, it would feel as if they're better in some way. And I'm not saying that for everyone. I'm just imagining how shame and guilt and doubt can dominate a person's world. And it'll seem as if there's different things that's negatively influencing someone's life when it could be that one thing showing up in different ways. So because of the guilt and the shame, we reject certain connections and we welcome certain connections that aren't any good for us, but we don't know that we're better than that because the shame already lowers our frequency and lowers the way how we see ourselves. And then the guilt makes us feel like wrong, to want better, to choose better. So with the guilt, we entertain things we shouldn't. We have a lack of boundaries. So when it comes to our friendship, relationship sector, there's issues there because shame and guilt is running havoc. And then we doubt that, good things will happen, because how could good things happen when we see ourselves through the lens of shame? And then guilt makes us wrong. And then career-wise, I could see how it could cause a person to stagnate in place. It's like a person, when I think of career-wise or just in any aspect of our lives, I think of the eight of swords tarot card. And with the 8 of swords, it's like the person, their arms are bound and there's a bunch of swords behind them and they feel stuck, but they really just need to move forward, but they don't even know they could move forward. And I feel like shame and guilt will do that to you. So career-wise, the person is stuck, they're stagnant. They keep maybe going back to school, but always get to a point where instead of moving forward, they decide to go back to school again or pursue something else. And really, they need to just move forward. But the fear of putting themselves out there, the shame and the guilt, will cause them to, want to protect themselves from the worst that can happen if they were to put themselves out there. And I think of how that energy could show up where, say in a person's life, the shame and the guilt will cause them to, a better example. I remember reading a chart one time, and I could look at the person's chart and tell that in this life, they want to experience like achieving major wealth and success, whatever that means to them. But then there's a other area within their chart that shows that in their family dynamic and their community, they bond over how evil, wealthy people are. So there's a part of them that is used to bonding with their family and loved ones about how evil, wealthy people are, but then there's a part of them that wants to be that wealthy person. So because of how they're used to bonding with their family and friends, there's shame and guilt around them wanting what it is that they want, so they're stagnant. I think of the mom who, focuses all her life on just, taking care of her children, but she wants to achieve other things, but the guilt or the shame to want to focus on other things causes her to only focus on, taking care of the children in the home, which is a big job, but at the same time later left with resentment because the shame and the guilt kept her stuck. I think of when it comes to manifestation, how shame and guilt will cause us to not manifest anything because the shame makes us feel like we're not enough. The guilt makes us feel like, who do I think I am to even want that? And then the doubt, because I feel like the doubt comes in after the shame and the guilt. And the doubt will make us feel like, how could that happen for someone like me? Even if we don't come out and say that, if there's shame and there's guilt, then of course there's going to be doubt. Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed the pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option along with the service option to book a solo return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. So I was just reflecting to myself earlier how shame and guilt and doubt could be like an entity, like a spirit that is in the background influencing our world, and we don't even realize that these things are controlling our world, blocking our manifestation, or causing us to be stagnant within our lives. And we'll think that, I need to go see this therapist or this coach and work on my relationship. And then I need to work on my career. And then I need to work on my health. And it's like, what if like a domino effect, there's that thing like shame or guilt. And from having shame or guilt, it plays out in different areas within our lives and causes us to be stagnant, causes us to be miserable. And I think about how when it comes to shame and guilt, how those are powerful tools in the belt of manipulative people, how they, plant those seeds within others and, like a puppet master, are able to use a person's emotions and control them with the shame, the guilt, and the doubt. So that was something that I was reflecting on, that I was journaling on earlier. And when I look at, say, where the moon is and the possible challenges that the moon could be going through, and along with Mercury in Aquarius, and I feel like Virgo, Aquarian energy or two that can struggle with shame, guilt, and doubt for different reasons, along with the number 6 energy, the day adding up and reducing to the number 6. I say Virgo energy because with Virgo energy dealing with perfection, perfection means we're not enough, we're missing something. I think of Aquarian energy and how Aquarian energy deals with humanity and humanitarianism. And in order for a person to truly take on that calling, they would have to know what it feels like to go through certain things, to know what it takes to show up and be that for other people. And then with the energies in the day adding up and reducing to the number 6 vibration, the number 6 deals with the material realm and often feels insignificant or in lack or not enough, because things pertaining to the material realm are always losing value. So no matter how much we achieve, we always feel like something's missing. We're always trying to complete ourselves. And of course, when we try to complete ourselves by attaining material things, we'll always feel incomplete. And it brings me back to the thought of shame, guilt, and doubt. And, you know, when it comes to you, how has shame, guilt, and doubt played a part in your life, has held you back in ways? And when you think of the areas of your life that you're being challenged, that you face challenges with, say your entire life, is it possible that it's just one thing that needs to be understood? Is it possible that it's just one thing that needs to be addressed? And like a domino effect, all other areas of your life will experience balance from addressing that one thing. Just like with Virgo 6th house energy, for me, just from addressing what I'm putting in my mouth, what I'm consuming, the consciousness of that flows through other areas of my life. When it comes to the tarot, we have the 8 of Cups in the upright position. I love this energy coming out in the upright position. It feels like such a breath of fresh air. And it felt like how I felt earlier when I was sitting and reflecting about shame and guilt and doubt. And I was reflecting on how shame, guilt could create doubt within me and cause my manifestations to be stagnant or take forever, because there's a part of me in the background working against me. Because if there's any shame or any guilt, of course there's going to be doubt. And getting to the bottom of it, or coming to the realization of those energies, for me, it's like once you put the spotlight on something, it doesn't have the power that it once had. And with this card, this person's walking away from an old emotional cycle that no longer works. And that's how I felt earlier when I was journaling and reflecting on these energies, because I feel a lot of the times we'll inherit. I think of, say, for example, how they'll say, you know, this thing runs in the family. This illness or that illness runs in the family. And I remember going to this Deepak Chopra event, a Deepak Chopra seminar, or it was like a lecture that was happening here once. Like, it was just a last minute thing. I was in the salon working. I looked up on the TV. They're like, this is happening tonight. I was leaving the salon early. I was able to buy tickets and make my way down to where it was happening at. And he spoke about a lot of things. And one of the things that stood out was how he said there's only 5% of things within us that can be passed along from our family, meaning a lot of the disease and illnesses and things that they say are hereditary are just learned behavior. They don't actually pass along. Like, just because your family had high blood pressure and diabetes and things like that doesn't mean you'll have it. What they pass along to you is the way how they ate. And of course, if they ate that way and it gave it to them, then if you're going to eat that way, you're going to have that experience. And the way how they manage and handle stress. So the way how they eat, the way how they manage and handle stress, it's only 5% of things that are actually hereditary, that actually moves through the blood. And I think of like shame, guilt, and doubt as one of those things that we learn it, we pick it up along the way. And sometimes some of us own it. And then for some of us, it's playing in the background and controlling our lives. And we don't even know that it's playing in the background and controlling our world. We just know that you know, every now and then we're challenged in ways and it don't even make sense. Like, say for me, lately, I don't worry about anything at all because I only worry about the things I don't trust God with. I don't worry about anything anymore because I only worry about the things that I don't trust God with. But I had to even come to the realization of that, you know, I heard that somewhere and it really stood out to me. But I had to remind myself of that over and over sometimes because doubt would set in. And where would the doubt come from? The doubt would come from hidden shame that I didn't even realize were there, or I overlooked it because it wasn't really getting my attention with anything major, or hidden guilt that would be there. And because of the shame and the guilt, I would doubt my path. I would doubt my journey, even though, you know, I'm the type of person that's going to take a risk. I trust the universe and I'm going to go forward. But because of that hidden shame and guilt in the background playing out that I don't even know is playing out, it would make things harder than it has to be, as I would find myself doubting my path. And it's like, how could I doubt my path when I've had experience over and over showing me that, you know, the universe supports me, but yet still there's that doubt. And it clicked to me today, the doubt, because the hidden shame and the guilt. But of course, it was a dream that brought that to my attention. What I love with today's energy is that though we could find ourselves feeling challenged by some things, there's another part of us that will help us to find clarity, see clarity in a situation and free ourselves. And, you know, I think of today being ruled by Jupiterian energy. And while Jupiter is, you know, still being squared by Saturn and Pisces, but that's a good square. It's a good square, meaning it's us being challenged, but the challenge is good, meaning we're not able to get comfortable when it comes to certain things, because the things that we would want to get comfortable with are the things that distract us, the things that hold us back. So that's a good thing, because with Pisces energy being an area of escapism, imagination, creation, but we could also, you know, experience time lapse and waste a lot of energy escaping and focusing on the wrong things. And with Saturn there creating structure, we are able to hold ourselves accountable and recognize how we escape reality and waste time and energy. And with Jupiter in Gemini is amplifying areas where we would only focus on the surface. We're looking a little bit deeper. And with the square between Saturn and Pisces, instead of, say, Jupiter and Gemini, we look deeper and escape off into something. That square forces us to look deeper and hold ourselves accountable. We can't escape off and waste time. So I like that. But what's standing out to me is the positive aspect. Jupiter, positively aspecting Pluto and Aquarius, and Pluto energy is that transformative energy, is that death and rebirth. So with Jupiter and Gemini, we're gaining a lot of information when it comes to something, and Pluto is creating a level of transformation when it comes to that thing. And Pluto and Aquarius, Aquarian energy for me is an energy, you know, within all of us that could hold on to a lot of shame for a lot of reasons. And some of the reasons that I think of is what I mentioned earlier, with Aquarian energy being a humanitarian energy and being an energy that feels deeply about certain things, feels deeply when it comes to being overlooked and injustice and different things that one can go through that is not their fault, but could cause a person to be left feeling shame about it. And with Jupiter and Gemini, we're gaining context, knowledge, information when it comes to certain things, and we're able to release and let go of other things. So yeah, when it comes to today's energy, I love it. I love the fact that there's challenges, but the challenges create transformation. It brings me to that saying that I love so much. Pain is a bookmark that holds space for our transformation. And with the gazelle energy in the upright position and the 8 of cups, it brings me to that feeling of being alert, being aware. Like, I'm aware of challenges, I'm aware of the hardship, but at the same time, I'm not going to allow for that to control and dominate my world. And I'm aware of what doesn't work for me, and I'm going to move forward. And even with the day being the 13th, I think of the number 1 as the individual, the I am, its ideas. The number 3 is an expressive energy, and 1 + 3 is 4. The number 4 deals with foundation. So, you know, the day could start off with us feeling irritated or triggered by something, but soon after there's major transformation, and I love that. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a white heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.